Go! Go! Oh man, that was a spicy race. Max Verstappen with that win again. That's wild. 4 of the last 5. Red Bull last 5 races. Oh man, it's awesome. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty exciting. But we're gonna look at the whole race. Of course, not just here to talk about Red Bull, as much as I wouldn't mind it. So let's see what we got here. Let's see what we got. Austrian. Now, there was a lot of penalties. I'm not gonna lie. I thought a lot of them were kind of dumb. I think Lando Norris' penalty was dumb. Sergio Perez had some dumb penalties. Yuki Tsunoda had some dumb penalties. Not gonna lie. So we're gonna break this down first, actually. So first we had Perez penalty, or the first one was Lando Norris' penalty on Perez, where he pushed it just a little wide. They didn't even make contact. I think that was just racing. I don't think that there's really a need for that 5-second penalty for Lando Norris. Obviously, it didn't matter in the end. Ended up getting third, but a bit lame there. As for Perez, his 2 penalties, very similar situation with Leclerc. 2 different spots. I think Leclerc tried to make moves that weren't there. Again, he raced above his talent levels. That's what Leclerc does. 2 weeks in a row, we sort of seen him try things that don't work. So, we saw that last week where he crashed out half the field. He crashed Gasly out of the race and took off Raikkonen's part of his wing last week. And this week, he's trying to make moves on Perez that weren't there. So, again, I don't think those were necessary. Penalties for Yuki Tsunoda as well. I mean, I guess his are a little easier to judge on that line to the pits, but I mean, if your tire's touching a white line, I don't really think that's necessarily a penalty. Doesn't need to be. I think 5 seconds for you barely touching a white line is a little bit extreme, but either way, some penalties there. I think some other drivers got penalties. I think Lance Stroll got a penalty for something. I think Giovinazzi got a penalty for something. I don't even know. I didn't even see after the penalties. I just heard more penalties for drivers, and I'm just like, why? But yeah, it was a bit wild for sure. In the podium, we had Verstappen, Bottas, and Norris. Your top 3. That was pretty cool to see Norris up there. And Hamilton not killing at this race. I guess he had some issues. Potentially part of his car was damaged over some of those curbs. He just was nowhere really to be found throughout most of that race. Just falling back the whole time, and eventually Mercedes was like, all right. And for once, they let Bottas by Hamilton instead of Hamilton going by Bottas. Very, very surprising to see that happen. That's obviously not something that normally happens in these races. So they pulled Hamilton back in the new pit. Then you have Sainz and Perez. Perez finished about 9 seconds ahead of Sainz. So with his 2 5-second penalties, Perez ended up finishing 6th. Ricciardo in 7th. Ricciardo was holding off Sainz for so long. Had he done that, he might have had a shot to finish ahead of Perez after the penalty was applied. Then we have Leclerc in 8th, Gasly in 9th, Alonso 10th. Oh, God, what a group. George Russell so close, that close to getting points for Williams. Finally, he was almost there. I think it was lap 67, 68. Someone thought Alonso got by him. Also out of points, Tsunoda, Stroll, Giovinazzi, Latifi, Raikkonen, and Vettel with like a last lap crash into each other. Not really sure what happened there. Vettel and Raikkonen kind of just... Raikkonen moved over, Vettel moved a little bit. They both just came together after the exit of turn 4, going towards turn 5, and really hurt both of their races. I think they were battling in 12th. Not that would have mattered points-wise, but the finishes, obviously, they're further down. Then behind them, you have Mick Schumacher, Mazepin, and then Ocon in last place, who didn't even get to turn 4. He had his... just really weird, just barely any contact with Giovinazzi and just broke part of the one of the things holding the tire on, and out of the race. Saved a car early, and that's pretty much it from there. Other things to note: Verstappen had that grand slam with the fastest lap, and leading every lap, and starting for pole. So all that stuff together, pretty cool there. So Verstappen with the fastest lap. Lando Norris was the driver of the day. Lando Norris definitely earned driver of the day, for sure. You've seen Raikkonen in there, the Reddit trying to do their thing to get Raikkonen driver of the day. So they're trying to get that in there. I think he got second for driver of the day. My brother was texting me about the race, and he said he was surprised that Verstappen didn't get driver of the day. I'm like, all his fans were there. Like, I'm like, all his fans were there to vote for him and just forgot about driver of the day. But yeah, it was very interesting to watch this race. I enjoyed it. I think action-wise, this race was better than the Styrian Grand Prix. I think Austria provided a little bit more excitement of the two races. But both were dominant for Max, which is cool. Again, Lando Norris getting the podium, that's awesome to see. Cool to see the third best car getting some podiums in here. Hopefully we'll get Ricciardo up there a little bit higher. Get McLaren ahead of those Ferraris, like finish that off. Secure third place. Because clearly McLaren is the better car. They have one of the best driver lineups. They should be up there, getting more points. There's been a discussion all year of who's got the best driver lineup, and it's between Red Bull, Mercedes, and McLaren. I think those are the best three by a lot. I think I did a whole video on that as well earlier, but those are definitely the top three. I'm scrolling through here. Don't need to see qualifying or practice results. We need to see standings. Now, is this up to date? That's the real question. It is up to date. All right. So Max with 182 points. Hamilton with 150 points. So that gap is, 30-something? Yeah, 32. That's pretty good. Perez with 104. Lando Norris with 101. So he's closing up on Perez. I think we're going to see a good battle for third in the standings. You've got Perez, Norris, and Bottas. All those are battling there. Again, they're all pretty far away from second, because Perez is 46? Perez is 46 behind Hamilton, who's then another 32 behind Verstappen. So that battle for third in the driver standings could be very interesting. Perez, if he can get to be consistent. Again, this race wasn't really his fault. He had just some issues that, he was running in a good spot and got into that spot with Norris where they were side by side. So that just messed up Perez's race. But if he can be a little closer, towards the top three, get some more podiums like he should, I expect Perez will, do the best of the three, but Norris has been right there. He's been the only driver to score points in every race this year. I got to say definitely the third best driver, behind Max, then Lewis. Then you got Lando right there. He's the third best driver, probably followed by Perez. Those are, the top four. Then Bottas chilling in fifth. Not a good season for him. Probably be out of the Mercedes, I'd imagine. Not been killing it. So, those are the top five. Then we have a big gap from Bottas to Leclerc. Ricciardo's trying to claw back some points, down in 8th, 40 points. 20 behind Carlos Sainz, who's in 7th. So, interesting there. Getting George Russell so close to getting his first point, which really helped Williams out in the Constructors' Championship. Looking at the Constructors, Red Bull with 286, Mercedes with 242. So again, pretty close to what we're seeing. The gap between the drivers, just about 100 more, because it's 182 for Max, it's 286 for Red Bull combined, 242 for Mercedes, 150 for Hamilton. So again, those combined points, it's pretty much the same gap. It's about 30 points. So that's looking pretty good for Red Bull. They keep that up again. If Perez starts getting at least like fourth, get a few thirds in there, it'll definitely help boost those points up. Because the race that he won and the race that, they both got the podiums, really beneficial. Gap between McLaren and Ferrari is another about 20, so that's looking pretty good. Then we have a big gap down to fifth for AlphaTauri, who's in a close battle with Aston Martin. Then you got Alpine about 10 points off of that. So the battle for fifth is looking really spicy. AlphaTauri, Aston Martin, and Alpine all looking pretty good. Eighth is pretty much secured for Alfa Romeo with 2 points, which is wild to say that they're secured with 2. Williams and Haas both just on 0. Williams is ahead based on finishing result performance. Russell has 11, so they're pretty secure in that, but if they had that 1 point, they would have pretty much guaranteed themselves 9th, because the Williams is able to fight in and around 11th. I wouldn't be surprised if there is a race this year where Russell can finally score a point. I think it's going to happen. Where the Haas cars, they had, one race where they got 13th, but those cars are way off. Way off. So, we have a week off from these videos, and we'll be back on the 18th for the British Grand Prix. That's going to be exciting. Cannot wait to see how many fans are there, because we saw how wild it was with the Dutch fans at the Austrian Grand Prix. It's going to be insane. The full stand for the British Grand Prix. Cannot wait to see how exciting that is. How much the fans are going to get into it. I feel like with racing, I never really realized how important the fans were at the stands. Like, other sports, you notice it. Basketball, football, soccer. You notice the amount of fans that are there. It's super obvious when you're watching these sports how much they're into it. With racing, since the cars are going around, it's very focused on that. The stands are sort of away from the track. You don't notice it as much, but I think not having them for a season, pretty much season and a half, especially these tracks where the fans are really into it. I think you get some of the tracks where it's like the Middle Eastern tracks where we're here because they're paying us a lot of money to have an event here. You don't notice the fans as much, like Bahrain, Abu Dhabi, so whatever. But the tracks where they're the European tracks, the traditional, right there in the stands, Austria, Britain, those you notice it so much, and it's wild and awesome. So, cannot wait for the British Grand Prix. There's going to be a few other races this year that I think the fans are going to be going wild at. Dutch Grand Prix in September. Probably the Italian Grand Prix, we're going to see some fans there. Going wild. Mexico's going to be wild. Maybe even the U.S. Grand Prix could be wild. But right now we're looking at the British Grand Prix coming up next week, which I'm very excited for, or 2 weeks from now. Because we have qualifying and then sprint qualifying. The first time we're seeing sprint qualifying. So they'll be qualifying on the 16th, sprint qualifying on the 17th, and then the race on the 18th. So that's going to be very, very good. Cannot wait to see that. But that's that. Thank you for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Between this race and the next video of F1, F1 2021 will launch, and we'll be playing that. We're going to be streaming that on the 13th, the first day that it's playable for the pre-order edition. If you've pre-ordered ahead, it's 3 days early for the Deluxe edition. On the 13th, we'll be streaming that, playing it all that week. Cannot wait. the build up to the British Grand Prix. We'll be playing F1 2021. So make sure you check that out on the 13th if you're interested in seeing how that game is. But yeah, thank you for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you guys in the next one.